welcome back. Thanks to everyone who is listening. If you're catching this on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, any of the podcast places, please continue, guys, to keep those ratings and reviews coming. If you're finding this on YouTube and you're watching along, thank you very much. Please do like and subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff. Because here on the End Product Podcast, Stishy Boy, we are all about that end product, going out and absolutely smashing it at the game week. And between me and you and Hendo last week, it's been a trophy-laden game week, and you've come up top trumps yourself big time this week.
I definitely think this is, in terms of, I'm not like 100% sure if it was like my best, but in terms of what I won at the end of the game week, it was definitely my best game week, I think. I hit a score of over 500 in Challenger Rare Pro, which was something that we talked about on the podcast last week as well, how we were going to switch out of U23 and into it. And managed to pick up a lovely Martin van der Voort rare. So like I kind of still got that U23 win that kind of crossed over into the Challenger, which is ideal for me as well, because I think those are the two divisions that I'm strongest in. So winning a card like that definitely strengthens my options. And also I managed to scrape a tier 3 super rare in the U23 division. And I got so lucky with the pull that I picked up an Araujo. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm saying that now. Did I get his name right there? Julian Araujo.
What tier 3 that was, by the way. I forgot all about that.
That is absolutely like the luckiest pull in terms of that tier 3 pull. I've had him in my watch list as well. So I was looking to buy his rare at the beginning of the MLS season. Because I'd seen him play a couple of times last season, and I liked how like far forward up the pitch he got. And the only worry I had was, that buying a centre back versus buying a fullback. But in terms of timing, winning a card like that just before we're going to see those, those tweaks to the scoring matrix, I think a player like him and the way he plays, I haven't checked, but I bet he's way better off scoring wise for the way he plays. So yeah, like for a tier 3 super, that is unreal. And I was a bit gutted just before because I was in the tier 2 pool, and then there was like a scoring tweak that put me a position back, which put me right at the top of the tier 3. So looking at the way the rewards panned out, I think I was much happier with the Araujo than I could not have been any luckier last weekend. Everything just like fell right into place. Ajax had a great game that helped my challenger push over 500 points. First time I've ever done that. So fingers crossed it's not the end of the end product, and we can go again this weekend and hopefully bag another card or two if we're lucky.
That's it.
You had a win as well, though, right? You got some end products as well too.
I got a wee cheeky super rare from a Celtic team, but I started like after Celtic played, because it was early on Saturday, I was flying everywhere and I was like, oh man, I just need to hold on. Hopefully all these other games aren't that great and whatever. And I ended up just with I'm a bit of Ethan, and I got a super rare from the Dutch division, and he's a centre back that kind of averages around the 50s. He looks okay. He's nothing amazing. But yeah, that was pretty much all from me. And I'm pretty sure Hendo walked away with something last week after the podcast. If memory serves me right, I can't remember what he won. I'm pretty sure he got something decent. So yeah, it was a successful week all round. And I remember looking at your rewards, and I totally forgot about the Araujo until you brought it up there. But
yeah,
that's one of the things. Like I was chatting about this with like Channing the Penfizz. I think they've got that in their kind of makeup because of FIFA or whatever. But they're big, as am I, on like first owner cards and whatever. And now you've got like a first owner bad boy set, under 23 goalkeeper and super rare defender pair.
yeah,
guys you've won first owner of in season as well, or Van der Voort probably not.
no,
Anymore,
yeah,
but...
he's going to lose that little 5%
but
very soon. Actually, he's probably lost it already, hasn't he? But yeah, I can't complain. I think that's some haul. I was super happy with it, and yeah, I think I'm going to get some use out of it, because if you remember a few weeks ago as well, I picked up an Alvarez super rare, so I've got a little LA Galaxy super rare stack going on now. So hopefully they can make some good signings in the close season and come on a bit stronger. Their neighbours have been banging the door down with their signings, so Galaxy are going to have to step up, and hopefully Araujo and Alvarez will be will be there or thereabouts next season, putting some big scores up
I
for
think
me.
that'll be for sure. I think as well, it's probably a fair chance Arajo joins Van de Voort in the Belgian league at some point. Because I think he did
That'd be
have some
nice.
links with Anderlecht not long ago. I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think anyone's actually chasing him. But for me, he's the best right back in MLS. Julian Arajo, I love him. I think he's quality. But in a good way, you'll probably see him in Belgium because he'll be good.
Yeah, I just said Julian Alvarez. I realised it was Efrain Alvarez. Like Julian Alvarez would have been lovely, but I'll take an Efrain. He looks a good player as well. So Efrain Alvarez, yeah. I keep my words keep slipping out. That's how excited I have been the last couple of weekends. But
Yeah,
yeah, long may it continue. I actually won another reward. Kelvin Amian, who I think was a tier 3 reward from the Champ Euro pool. And he's got some pretty good averages, but again, he's another Champ Euro defender. Um, don't know a lot about him. He hasn't played this season just yet, so maybe he's injured, but he's put up some pretty decent scores. He's got an L5 of 61. Um,
that's decent.
so yeah, I think he's playing at Spezia, so he'd be a pretty busy defender. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I'm
They're
not
playing
sure
this
how much
weekend
use
as
I'll
well.
be. But a win is a win, and his card. I think I listed him at the floor price, and the floor price is 160 quid. So like, that is not to be
Decent.
sniffed at all. Like, it was definitely a high end product week for me, and yeah, it sounds like we've done all right. We've done all right at the podcast gang this week.
2 seconds. My wires tangled up. It's been a great week. I'm buzzing. And by the way, I think you've been the same, but we've both been inundated with a bunch of messages asking about Tony if he's taking the manager for a square go and dropping all the insults. Uh, I think we can say Tony's confirmed to us that it's just nonsense, if you know what I mean. But he is obviously busy. A couple of tough results for those guys
Mm,
over in Alkmaar and then Hearts at the weekend. So yeah, hope Tony has good luck this week, and we'll hopefully see some end products for him. I think he's been back on the trading wheel again, so
I've
I'm
seen him. Yeah, I've
sure we'll
seen him.
catch up with Tony.
He looks like he's put almost his entire gallery up for sale. So be interesting to see what his strategy is, where he's headed next in the market. He's always got some trick up his sleeve. I just wonder where he's going to be heading next. But it looks like he's
That's it.
listed a fair few cards. I haven't seen if he's managed to shift any yet, but I saw his tweets. He looks like he's back in the market for something.
Yeah, and then on that kind of note, we've kind of seen a lot of. It's probably what most people are tuning into the podcast to hear about, rather than some of the cards we scooped up, But there's been there's been a fair amount of like I would say legitimate drama, like over the last couple of days, just over rewards, competition, ferocity or veracity. I'm not too sure what the right word is. I dive between the two of them.
Both good words.
Over the last, yeah. I'm not sure if any of them are real. I'm sure one of them might be real, or maybe half of both of them is real, and I don't know. But people are selling cards, people are selling galleries, people are really upset with just the lack of um, feasibility on winning. I think for some of these rare and rare pro divisions in particular, and I think in the limited, it's just been dominated by some of the big hitters just because they had big weekends. Have you been following much of this? Have you been up to date with the kind of drama, the comings and goings, Stishy boy? Any thoughts?
I've seen bits and bobs of it on Twitter. I try the way that I normally like browse Twitter particularly on my desktop, is I use a service called TweetDeck, which allows me to see certain timelines. So I don't really see my newsfeed that much when I'm using that. It's only really when I look at Twitter on my phone where I get my sort of news feeds and that. But whenever I'm logged into the end product account on there, I see a lot of it, and quite a lot of it in French as well. So I have to use that translate tweet button quite a bit. But yeah, I've noticed quite a bit of gallery selling, a little bit of people moaning. There's definitely been a lot of people moaning about how hard it is to win. I think particularly in the limited, like you mentioned there. And I understand it because someone who plays limited, but I don't really target the limited divisions, but I have like what I feel to be competitive limited entries, and very rarely pick up anything of note in any division that I enter. I think that if and when I am entering in limiteds, I tend to look at the specialists and the underdogs first, and just hope for a big hit there, and failing that, then they go into All Star and whatever else I can enter. But I very rarely have any expectation for my limiteds because I guess there's just so many people playing it, and I can understand if you're trying to like work your way into the game and limiteds looks like an option because the price of entry can be quite low, but very often to win those cards, like the top 100, top 200 managers have all got very similar lineups of those big hitters because you can buy them. Trying to get yourself a Neymar super rare or rare, bit difficult if you're trying to get off a manager who's trying to compete in the rare divisions. But in the limited market, there's flippers, there's people coming in and out trying to like change their team, trying to make profits, and you can pick up these cards quite often on the market for reasonable prices. And unfortunately, that means that if one of like five or six of those big teams have a big game or get that big result, it is going to be hard to work your way into the rewards. So I think it's disheartening for a lot of people who maybe have bought cards, particularly in like Champ Euro, that's got to be nigh on impossible to win in without PSG, Bayern, like those kind of clubs. We're looking at potentially Liverpool coming back on. There's been a lot of noise about it. Looks like Liverpool are coming back. When they come back into the limited market, because they've not been in it yet, it's going to be interesting to see, what that does, because there'll be a lot of
Ronaldo's.
accounts after those. It's going to spread things out a little bit more, but how much more? Because I think a lot of those accounts that are having success in the limited divisions will probably look to scoop up those Liverpool players just to make sure that other people haven't got them. It's a bit like real life football, isn't it? And it's like teams like PSG come through buying pretty much everyone available in the transfer market just so they don't have to play against that player. And I think that's what
Yep.
we'll see when the likes of Liverpool come onto the platform. A lot of those managers you already have, the Bayern, PSG, Real Madrid, Barca, they'll be buying up those Liverpool cards just to make sure they don't have to play against them on certain game weeks. So yeah, I can kind of understand it. It would be frustrating if I was a limited player, um, and like I say, I have limited cards, but I wouldn't consider myself like a limited competitor, if that makes sense. Like my cards give me skin in the game, but very rarely uh, like pull rewards from the limiteds. And I think Hendo mentioned it last week as well. Another thing with limiteds now is like these side games, like the World League and stuff like that. Is people want to take that seriously, then having those like mega limited teams, they're hard to compete with. Um, so yeah, I can totally understand that. Have quite a lot of people been selling up based off that? Would you say?
I think a lot of people, I've seen, so I've got a few cards I've been trying to sell this week. I've been trying to get some guys in. I'm quite weak in midfield, as anyone who follows my content will have heard me bemoan for the last bunch of while. And just when I'm in the Discord channels, normally there's a bunch of people always try to sell some galleries and whatever, because some people build a gallery up, wait for the value to go, and then, that's what I've noticed some people do quite successfully. But I feel like there's a few more people in that channel just looking for bites in terms of anyone that would take their gallery off them and that sort of thing. And we've kind of seen that before in the past around ETH movement. Like when ETH went crazy, parabolic, like from 1,300 quid all the way up to like 2.5 grand, people were just like ETH desperate and were just trying
Yeah,
to sell galleries rapid so they could get their hands on ETH and, have lots of money at the end of it or whatever. But this is kind of the converse of that. People are worried about just, I don't want to play anymore, and if I've got like a gallery worth £1,000 or £2,000 or however much it is, whatever, um, then if they don't see bang for buck in terms of their enjoyment, then they're going to try and look to move them on. And I think that's mainly what it has been. But like yourself, like one thing I would want to say, just kind of like to anyone listening to this, like if you've been following my content, like I win, or I used to win every week, multiple cards. And the whole time throughout my content, especially over the last 8 months to 12 months, I've been saying I'm going to be winning less and less. It's going to be harder and harder. So I need to make the most of any card I can get that I see undervalued versus the market, or versus, more licenses when they eventually happen or whatever. Um, and we're now in that stage. And I set up like, I'm going to say like 5 or 6 limited teams. And if none of them win, I'm not really shocked by that. And I've got some good cards. I've not got Apex cards. And equally with rares and all the rest of it, like I'm not really expecting more than one victory. If I get more than one, then obviously I'm not going to be turning it down, and I build every team to win. But when you see the kind of stampede of quality teams in every division, then I think satisfaction is kind of made or let down by expectation. Like if
Yeah,
you're expecting to buy a bunch of L15 under 50 guys and get into tier twos and global limited, like it's not going to happen. It might happen. It probably will happen a couple of times, but who knows when? Who knows why? Is it midweek because you're the only team playing, or is
mm,
that other team had a game? So lots of different things can and will happen, but it's extra frustration from me and from everyone when, like, in the one game week, Bayern, PSG, etc., like three or four, five, six of them all go off together. Then the differential chance is just like is drowned. Your
yeah,
differential opportunity is not going to happen, because the stacks are just going to dominate because the the Bayern defense and the PSG attack, or the PSG defense and the Bayern attack, they're all working and they're all kicking.
yeah.
But that doesn't quite happen to this extent as often as it feels right now.
Yeah, I think it's the return of those champ divisions as well, isn't it? Because I think maybe people were getting used to having a little bit of luck in maybe using some of their Asia cards in All Star with some MLS players, and some, like some good bargains may have yielded them a few wins over the sort of European break. But now we've got those like heavy hitters back in All Star and in Champ, and probably in U23 as well, for people that play those limited divisions. They're going to be seeing less and less bang for their buck. Um, but like you said, I think like we probably saw this coming. Those of us who've been on a platform a bit longer, because when there's 1,000 of every player on the platform and they're only paying out 500 positions or something, you know, if 1,000 people have got Mbappe in the top 500 pay out, then how many teams in that top 500 haven't got an Mbappe in it? Probably not many, right? And people are going to be using. If you've got an Mbappe, you're not using him. You're using him every game. And if he puts up, if he doesn't put up 100, he's had a bad game. Like, by his standards, like, he should be hitting 90 plus most games. And it is going to be difficult to compete with that. Is that a problem for So Rare? It, well, I mean, I don't know what else you. What? How do you how do you argue against that? It's Mbappe. Like, it's very difficult to compete against that. And
Yeah, it's
it's
not going to be
I
amazing.
understand why people will be like a bit downhearted on it, but also, what can they do? You can't like you can't sort of like downgrade an Mbappe card because it's Mbappe. It's one of them things. Like, it's like FPL, and I think the main problem a lot of people have is that, it's like pay to win, and I guess there is an element of pay to win, isn't there? Because if you haven't got the best players, you're going to be less likely to win. But also, none of us are entitled to win every week either. Like, it is nice
I
when you
would
win, but it
I
shouldn't
would
be.
agree and I would agree and disagree with that all at once. I kind of went through like the top 20 of all the limited competitions after the weekend, just when people were kind of upset about it. And for like under 23 and All Star, there was actually like a decent spread of like LAFC was second. Somebody had a full LAFC team was
Mm,
second in All Star, and I don't know what they won, but they're on the podium in All Star. And there was a bunch of LAFC guys. There's a few, one or two guys got cheeky hundreds that ended up in the top 20s. Some of
nice.
these guys, random players that made the difference. But in champion, like if you look at the top fucking anything, it was Kimmich's and Mbappe's out the hoo ha.
Yeah,
So I make you right. Anyone who's got these cards, they're playing them. It seems to be the onus is more than will go into champion. So if you stay away from champion, you'll probably miss like the brunt of most of them. But you will find them in All Star. You will find them in U23. But part of the thing that I've kind of thought about with this as well is that the cure to the problem is also kind of contributing to the problem in some people's eyes. So today we've had new season cards for Eredivisie and Porto. Earlier this week we had Tigres coming on board, a new club in Mexico, and
mm,
yesterday we had our first set of Vikings. Rosenborg is on, and the Norwegian league is now scored. I think those new cards coming in have frustrated people more because they feel, oh, maybe Rosenborg boss their league. They traditionally do, but I don't think they have been for a number of years, to be honest. But it's another dominant team. It's another league. It's more dilution. But and again, with Eredivisie, it's new season and all the rest of it. But to get the prize pools abundant again, they need
Yeah.
current season cards to start from zero again, where they've got 50 or 40 rares to dish out of each player, or 500 limited, whatever it is, to then make it so that when you finish in the place you finished last week, you'll get a prize, and then the guy that get the crappy tier 3 gets a slightly better tier 2, or maybe a tier 1, or these things. The only way
Yeah.
that happens is the season comes out, and then when you see this stuff this week, it's like that seems to be upsetting people more, and it's like it's a chicken and an egg situation, like what comes first?
Yeah.
Fixed rewards or new season cards, like it's
From sort of like your point of view, the people that you've seen, like from like the sort of voices on Twitter and Discord or wherever you've seen it, would you say, like from sort of your perspective, that most of this noise is coming from new players or from experienced players?
I would say I think there's a few experienced accounts that are maybe just at the end of their tether from what I've seen, just like with drama and whatever. And that's the
Mm.
thing with Sorare that's made it amazing, and maybe to some people not amazing, is that the community is a very active community. And especially if you're on Twitter, you might not need to necessarily tweet and interact with stuff, but if you are on the timeline, if you are in Discord all the time, there is just rightly and sometimes wrongly, right? Let's just put it out there. There's a lot of drama, right? And I'm not a drama llama. I can't handle it. I'm not really all about that. And again, equally, if you're like that, and if you weren't like me making content and stuff, maybe you just go, "Oh, fuck this for a laugh. I'm going to take a break off it for a while." And maybe some people do that and come back later on. That's fine. But a lot of it, I think, is the guys that have came to the realization I can't afford a Kimmich, so why am I playing Champ Euro? All these guys are pointless. Or I've now have too many guys for All Star. I can take some of them into All Star, but these guys are all negligent now. Or U23 is an absolute write off. I've not got the goalkeeper in the top 5. I've not got an Mbappe. I've not got this guy or that guy. And then there's maybe a cascade effect where people just want to go back to zero and then rebuild with something that can compete in underdog and specialist a bit more proactively, and or maybe just focus on ETH bashing, or
Yeah.
people I think maybe just want to. I think some people do want to walk away. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's maybe a few more people that realize have maybe set their sights on the wrong target and they're looking to reposition rather than exit.
Yeah.
But there's going to be significant percentages of all that going on, I would say.
Yeah, I feel that as well, even from like the rare perspective. Like I look at Champ Euro as like almost a pointless entry. But I do have some really good Champ Euro cards. I just don't have one of the killer stacks. But I do have players from those teams, and some of them have come good early this season. Like players like Musiala, like he's started the
Yep.
season fantastically. Koulibaly looks like that move to Chelsea is going to work out nicely for his scoring. Um, Tony Kroos is always dependable. But last weekend when I was doing my teams, whereas I think this time last season I'd have made sure I had an entry in every division, in pro and in rare. And this last weekend I just looked at champ and I thought I've got really good rare cards, but I don't have any of the good scoring sort of like supers unless I want to take a punt on like William Carvalho or something like that. And
Sure.
I think in pro, if you don't have like a super rare who is a Neymar, or when there's only 50 sort of like cards paid out in pro, most of the top tier wins in pro are also holding great super rare cards. So rather than put an entry in there with like my Carvalho super and maybe I don't know someone else who I've got, maybe like Origi, knowing that he's probably going to start on the bench, taking a risk on him getting a decisive, I just thought, do you know what? I'm just going to put my strongest rare cards in the rare division, and I did. I scraped to tier 3, which actually on paper, I just said it, 160 quid's worth of Ethereum at the bottom of his price. Like if I can sell it, that's a great return still. But I think you do sometimes just have to admit to yourself, not sure if I can compete there unless I do go out and buy like a 60 plus average super rare. And in Champ Euro, that's a Danny Parejo, that's a Tony Kroos, that's
It's a
a
big hitter.
Kim. It's they're expensive. You're talking about like double figures in ETH value, like for one of those supers, and even then, if you haven't got Mbappe rare, Neymar rare, Messi rare, Kimpembe rare, you're still going to struggle to compete. So sometimes you do just have to admit defeat and maybe not look to enter. I've considered selling a lot of my Champ Euro cards for that reason. And I think it'll be very rare for me to enter that Pro division. I'd rather take those cards that might have gone into Pro and look at maybe Specialist Super Rare with the like odds and ends that I've got that are like that happen to play in Pro now, or maybe moved into Pro when I was using them in, strong Challenger or U23 lineups, and moved into becoming like pretty average scorers in the Pro team. Players like like Ezekiel Ponce, and we'll see how Tati Castellanos gets on, but cards like that, I've got a lot of those that have sort of found their way into the pro leagues. Leon Bailey's another one. Like, he's not going to be
Yeah.
quite as big a scorer as he was at Leverkusen. And so I have ended up with these cards. And I'm sure lots of other people who maybe looked at U23 are in a similar boat. But yeah, I think you do have to pick your fights if you want to win. Sometimes, taking one of those tier 3 wins in like the rare division versus like entering the pro for the sake of pro. I think you really do have to have some of those heavy hitters in pro now, because a lot of managers, there are a lot of big owners now on the platform, and if you're not one of them, it's hard to compete. And like looking at the sort of valuation my gallery's got up to now, I would consider myself as someone who can compete, but there's definitely another tier of people that I definitely can't compete with. And um, yeah, speaking to sort of like my brother and my brother-in-law and people that play, that are still trying to like, I feel their pain for them. And
Yeah.
I spoke to my brother this week because it's his birthday, and I sent him a few limiteds for his birthday. Some
Oh.
over 60 averages, trying to help out his sort of like specialist limited selections. He's got one limited goalkeeper, so he's got like, is it Marcinkowski or Marcinowski who plays in
Yeah. Yeah.
MLS? So he's got a starting goalkeeper, but he very rarely has like a strong entry. And I said to him, like, you should just be looking at like those specialist, looking at those underdog limited, seeing what you can get out of that. And yeah, I think that there's a part of me that's like, maybe I'm missing their pains a little bit, because I'll just accept a loss on my limited teams because I just don't expect much. But I do expect to win in some of my rare divisions, and will be a bit disappointed if I go the game week and win nothing. But you know, my brother, he's only won a reward I think once or twice, and maybe I'm just missing that. Like, he speaking to him this week, I could hear in his voice that he was just like, yeah, my teams don't do anything. Like, he started buying baseball cards just because he
God.
hopes that he can get in early on that instead of the football, but has absolutely no idea about baseball, as neither do I. But I bought one limited baseball card. I just haven't. I ain't got the time for it. It's just there. I don't know what I'm buying. Probably better
I
off
bought
not.
two rares.
You got two rares, yeah.
Yeah, £9
Great
each.
one. Oh yeah, I mean that's it. Like, you can get, like, if this kicks off, that return on investment should be pretty decent. You'd imagine, right? Um,
I basically asked Laird for two guys that are rubbish at SO7, but they're going to definitely go into the Hall of Fame. Do you
yeah,
know what I mean?
I think that's,
He
yeah.
gave
In
me two
terms of
guys.
investment, makes sense, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, I
they're
think,
tenner each. I'm never going to play them. I don't care if they're good at playing.
yeah,
Just buy them and
it's
forget about them.
you're not going to struggle to, like, you're not going to take a big loss on them, at least if you decide to sell up your gallery. A tenner
Yeah,
each, you should be all right. But yeah, I think hopefully, I think they were heading the right direction with like the underdog and the specialist, and it's just like, if they can figure out some more game modes like that reward players, and even like, like the academy, things like that, where
yeah,
people who have big galleries who already enter the rare divisions and stuff like that are maybe like discounted from a division, then that might open up. You know, you wouldn't use an Mbappe in the academy, would you? Like, so anyone that's got those
guarantee there's
cards,
people thinking about it right now.
yeah, yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. If the reward is like a star rare, there'll be an Mbappe floating about in that somewhere. But even that, even if that was the case, it still brings a few Mbappes out of the other divisions. And I think that the more divisions that they bring out, that kind of like even maybe tempt people in, because if you look at specialists, there will be Mbappes in that specialist division as well, because you need that. You've got the over 60, two L40s, two. 2 under 40 L15s. And if you've got the right, L15s under 40, then it might make sense to put your Mbappe in there. If you've got like two players who are going to bang 100 coming back from injury or something like that. And but if those rewards are there and it spreads out a bit more, like this time next season, we might have 100 odd divisions you can enter every week, and hopefully that will start to dilute or even the spread of these like really useful cards out a bit more. And in the U23 division, we've definitely seen a lot of those stacks broken up with transfers, and I think the U23 is one of them ones. I think Hendo mentioned it last week. You can only plan for the year ahead, and I think that's true of U23. Whereas Champ is like, once you make it in a Champ Euro team, you're not realistically going to move out of it unless you're coming to the end of your career. So, that's a lot of those players who are heavy hitters now in Champ are probably going to stay heavy hitters for at least another 4 or 5 seasons unless they're the wrong side of 30. So it's difficult to sort of like find your way into Champ unless you get early on some kid who turns out to be the next Mbappe or the next Haaland. But yeah, I feel their pain, feel the pain, but hope quite hopeful that Sorare understand the pains of the players that are like recently onboarded.
Yeah, definitely hope so. And I think it's one of those ones like we've only got the game week calendar. I've just made a specialist rare team as we're talking. Sorry, so just go for it. But sorry, I think yeah, we've only got the game week calendar up until game week 300, and that's the one that tells you, oh, this is exactly how many star rares are in D3 and how many tier 2s are here and all that caper. So we should hopefully get a new one of them by the time the podcast is out. And if it is, obviously feel free to drop it in the comment section of the video or whatever. Any thoughts on that? But if they don't, they should be doing a new calendar. They do these things like towards the last week of the month for the following month coming. So
Yeah,
they should be on the cusp. And depending on the contents of that, a lot of these frustrations might evaporate or they're going to boil on even harder.
yeah, yeah. Be interesting to see how it goes, but yeah, I think one thing I would say about it is that this feels like unusual timing compared to some of the other moans or like things that start getting Twitter up in a tiz. That always tends to happen around like the international break when people are like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with myself. Let me just have a moan about something." Whereas this is like, no, we are literally in the thick of it now. Everything's open and people are unhappy, which is unusual, I think, like in terms of like the cycle that we see. You always get this happen
I'd
as
agree.
soon as an international break happens. People get the ump, but this one's different in that sense.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
mentioned you kind of briefly mentioned the Norwegian division opening
Yep.
up, and yeah, I think that's something worth touching on as well. Like, there's been a lot of whispers in the community, people getting the ideas that second divisions might be coming on. There's been a lot of people buying up red crosses, and you know, straight away, Norwegian division, Rosenborg being covered, opens up quite a few players who had red crosses. I guess Pavel must be rubbing his hands together, but it makes you
Yeah.
wonder who's next? Like, surely the Greek division, surely the Swedish division. Another thing that's interesting about Norway for me is Norway play through the summer, don't they? They like when Europe closes,
Yeah.
the Norwegian division stays open. So I wonder what that means for Challenger next summer when all of the standard Challenger divisions are closed. Divisions like Norway and Sweden, they play on through the summer months. So do you think they'll keep Challenger open? Like, what by the letter of the law of Sorare's sort of
They
terms and
will, yeah.
conditions, will that mean that Challenger stays open, or do they need a
I
certain
think
amount
so
of
for sure.
teams covered?
No, I would definitely think it stays open on that basis, to be honest. And I think that's part of the thing that some people have been waiting for with the introduction of Challenger or the introduction of some of the Scandinavian leagues is because it should become then the first division that operates region, I beg your pardon, basically 12 months year round. So I think to make that a bit more appealing, we need the Swedish action. I think Finland is maybe a wee bit too lowly ranked
Mm,
as a football nation in a domestic competition. Norway and Sweden, if we're going to get away with putting the Croatian mob in and all this other stuff, then
yeah,
I think these Scandinavians have got a place, but Finland is markedly a step down on the other two, and it's probably more closer to the realms of like some of these other divisions that we have, like Bulgaria and Romania. Some of these other ones that are very, very hard to imagine we get licenses for. But again, at this point, I don't think we're ruling anything out.
yeah,
But again, I see it mainly as a method of increasing prizes, of course, as having more cards. But we need to see it in the place pots, not just the prize pool quality, because like when you look at, I think some of the limited competitions pay out places wise kind of well,
mm,
and the quality's maybe a bit lacking. But for a lot of the proper divisions that people get excited about, the places need a bigger tail on them, or there needs to be a fatter kind of chunk of the decent cards getting into tier twos, because even tier
yeah.
twos can be good rewards if they're tiered correctly and there's enough. If everyone's got a seat, because I'm kind of babbling now. I'm sorry, Stish, right? But I was saying
No,
this
no,
with, I think it was you and Neto, but somebody last week. But they kind of are at the point now where they need to just wake up in the morning and say every team's new license is now available, and it's just all the old ones stop auctioning. This auction cycle continues as it's been going, but it's just new cards on top of the old ones or instead of the old ones,
yeah,
and then the prize pools can just go whoop back to full power. Everyone's there. Whereas, like obviously today they've launched Porto and Eredivisie today together, so they are very much at the point. They're obviously at the mercy as well of receiving authorization to print the pictures, to print the cards
yeah.
because of all the stuff they've told us in the past. So their hands are tied to an extent, but it is at the point where we can't have them dripped out because it's just pissing people off basically. And like for example, we're coming into this game week and I'm laughing my ass off and rubbing my hands because all the Eredivisie and Porto players have lost their 5% kickers. And that works great for me this week, but there'll be a week coming up where that's going to it'll be my turn. But that's going to piss folk off, is they're now going to go in with Ajax cards and go, I can't beat these other people. And
Absolutely.
anyway,
I was just
so
looking
it's
at
one of those
that.
ones that the solution is going to annoy people anyway. Getting more cards out, getting the old season bonuses removed.
Yeah.
It's chicken and egg shit, I think.
I'm just looking now. Like my main entry this week is the Rare Pro U23. Decided to go back in there this week because the pool looks half decent. But I'm fortunate in that all of my Ajax cards in that lineup are actually 2 seasons ago, so none of them lose their 5%. So it's not going to affect me too much. In fact, most of my looking actually at quite a lot of my cards until we get to sort of some the Austria cards. Quite a lot of the Austria cards, obviously, because they didn't mint pre last season. But most of my sort of Eredivisie cards, etc., are from 2 seasons ago. So I'm fortunate enough to not lose them. And I think this is something that a lot of people miss when they're buying on the market.
Yep.
When we were getting to that stage of the season where we're getting close to cards losing their 5% from last season, where the sort of like I think a lot of people just want to buy the newest card because it's got that extra bonus. But when you get to that stage of the season where it's like the end of last season, maybe the first few games of this season, the new cards are coming soon, and as soon as they do, any card from the previous season loses 5% straight away. But actually, the cards from the season prior to that, so you're
Right.
looking at a lot of the Belgian cards and the Eredivisie and any, I think, what Turkish division. There was definitely a few divisions, particularly in Challenger, that we had cards from 2021 season, they don't lose another 5%. So when you're going to buy a card, I've often been looking like I bought like Wrench recently, and I didn't want his 21-22 card because I knew it was going to lose 5%. So I went for a 2021, and I think this time next year, people should be looking at the 21-22 instead of the current season cards. Similarly, so if anyone's listening that didn't realize that that these cards that lose their 5%, they only lose it once, and they lose it once. They are not
They go
the
out of date.
current season cards. Then you can build your way back up, putting them in training and using them, and that's obviously another reason why you should make sure you've always got your training teams filled out as well. I don't know about you, but I fill my training teams out every week. I've got about 40 of them. Um, and I fill my training teams up until I've only got commons left, or I can't field another team because I haven't got enough defenders or goalkeepers or something. And
Yep.
yeah, there's definitely cards in my gallery that are 10% plus because I've never transferred them in or out of my club, and they've either played or trained every game week since I've had them. And yeah, I think now more than ever, especially if you're using limiteds, got to make sure you're doing that because the XP in limiteds, particularly, is massive, isn't it? In terms of like reward places, because when all the teams are
Yeah.
similar, if you've got the same team as the next player, but your XP is better, then it puts you another place up the ladder. Come rewards.
Yeah. But again, I think you kind of hit on it earlier quite succinctly as well. Is like if that is pissing you off or it puts you off, go into underdog, go into specialist. That everything's zero XP. It's just raw fantasy points, you know.
Yep.
So somebody having an older card than you, it's XP'd up to level 15 means nothing off of your card that's got 0 points, you know. So I think that, and again, you said this yourself, Stish, very well a moment ago, but I think they've made good momentum with these new game modes at the things that they remove, like underdog now. You don't need a goalkeeper in essence. You can play a goalkeeper if you're absolutely crazy and you wanted to, but you only need to play 4 cards. You know, there's divisions where XP doesn't matter. There's divisions where you can't play guys that are too good already. And then there's a division where you can play one guy that's too good, but you need to play 2 guys that stink, and then
Yeah.
you can do it. So I think there's a lot of good momentum from them. And again, I think that, I'm just a bit, anyone who's listened to my stuff won't be hearing much new from me today. I'm a very optimistic person. I'm a very open-minded person to a lot of these things. But I think, yeah, it's one of these things where everything just needs to happen yesterday. We need all new seasons out. We need all the prize pools fully lit. So then the people that have been grafting over the summer and the off season, getting ready for it, like they shouldn't be frustrated that they're 2 points off of a crappy tier 3, really. Like if the
Yeah.
prize, if when everything's at capacity, that those places, if we then see in the fullness of time, they can actually pay out to, like, I'm just going to make up a number, right? But an All Star Rare Pro, rather than about 145 spots that we got last weekend or this weekend, I forget, they can actually do up to 210 or something.
Yeah.
And when we see
Definitely.
that, that's when people will be like, oh, why have we not had this? Oh, I wouldn't have been moaning if you just told us.
Yeah.
So we need that to happen. We need them to tell us stuff. It's radio silence is the big problem over this week, that we don't have that updated roadmap with the new rewards on it, or we don't have any kind of wee cheeky thing from Nick saying, listen, guys, this is what's going on, or something that's been quite, it's been all quiet on the Western Front in that respect.
I think that's the one thing that, with a lot of the moans that we hear about Sorare, the one that I cannot really sort of defend them on is, yeah, their comms. I get it, like some of the things like this, it wouldn't be a problem for someone on their team to say, uh, they're definitely seeing a lot of the chat online and on Discord and stuff, so they know that people are moaning about this. It wouldn't take a lot for like maybe Dan or someone on the Discord to say, the game week sort of like reward pools are going to be announced soon. Obviously, we've got X amount of new clubs, all of these new cards, blah 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 blah. Therefore, prize pools will be going up by roughly 15-20% in each of the divisions because of the supply being bigger than it is. And I think, like you said, that's maybe what people need to hear at the minute is that, yeah, it's hard, but in 2-3 weeks time you'd expect like a division that normally pays out 1,000 cards to pay out 1,200. Therefore, another 200 places, that's like maybe a 50-point difference. Now, you might only need 320 to win a card in certain divisions, or 300 or something like that. And I think that's what people need to hear. That's the communication that a lot of the like disgruntled customers, if you like, need from the team. And it does surprise me sometimes that they're not a little bit more forthcoming with that. So yeah, hopefully they get the comms figured out on that side of things.
Magic. I just had a wee Discord beep there. I don't know if you've got a tab open.
Yeah, I might just close my Discord. Hold on.
I hate Discord beeps. I don't know how to turn them off.
Yeah, I yeah, it'd be nice to be able to just mute sounds on my laptop when I'm doing things like this. Turning the phone off is easy, but yeah, anything could just pop off at any given time, couldn't it?
That's it. I think after rolling away from all that, Sorare Data have announced that they're launching memberships on their channel. I think basically all access that we've had is the only criticism I have of it. I don't actually have any other criticism than this, really, to be honest with you. But the only criticism I had is that it's either for the year, if you pay it for a year up front, it's either $99 or €99 or £99. Now,
Yeah,
those three things are not equal. They might all be 99. I see $99 and stuff. You know what it's like being working with pound notes. You see $99 and you think, oh, cool, that's only like 70 quid.
yeah, yeah.
That's only 80 quid.
It's getting closer
or,
though. I've been watching the rate of the dollar getting closer and closer to the pound and the euro every day. But
no, that's
yeah,
true.
no, you're right, and yeah, it was a pain, wasn't it? Having to pay, I had to pay in pounds, so I was just like, yeah. I mean, you had to pay in pounds as well, but there'll definitely be listeners out there uh, that are probably finding ways to like reroute bank transfers through an American. Like maybe if I played it with PayPal, I don't know. Like maybe PayPal, I could have sent dollars. I don't know. Not sure. I've definitely
Yeah,
got. I definitely get paid dollars from some of the business stuff I have to do through like music and that. But
sure.
yeah, I didn't look into that. I just paid it in pounds. But I think for
That would be.
pe- for people like us who like make content around So Rare and like quite have been fortunate to win rewards and stuff like that, like paying the money feels like it'll be justified. Like you only have to win a few cards to pay that back for the year. But be interesting to see how many of the more casual players um, pick up a paid version. I didn't check what the free version actually got you. Like, can you still scale the market for all the players on it and stuff like that? There's like, I get like some of the functions I got from it were more about like how you track your game week and how many players you can follow and managers you can follow and that kind of thing. But in terms of the free tier, can you still search the the market, that kind of stuff? Like,
Yeah, so in the free version, you can still do the games, statistics, rankings, and notifications. You can still get transaction history, averages and floors, player
okay,
scoring history, team roster, and basic stats, basic scouting tools, gallery overview, valuation, and reward history. This is all the kind of snapshots. All these things have see more, and I'm sure it goes into more and more detail. And then as you go up to the middle one, um, you get access to like more stuff like custom squads and watch lists and all that kind of thing. And then when you get up to the main one, it is basically just as we've had it to this point. But a lot of people are upset that or I don't know if it's a lot of people, but some people are upset that Sorare Data are going out and charging. And I don't think I've ever said this publicly, right? I don't mind saying it, but when Sorare Data was free, I used to send them money like every 3 6 months or something like that, and like I don't know everyone's in the position to do that, but the amount I would send over every 3 months or whatever it was is more than what he's now asking for a year. And fair enough, that's me, and I've got a fairly big account. But I know with other stuff that I've got memberships for and accounts for, BT Sport,
mm,
Netflix, all these things. See, when crap, I need to rebuild my gallery, or crap, I really need to do some stuff. You pay it for 2 months, you get all your worth out of it, and then see when it's off season, I'm not doing anything, you cancel it. So
yeah,
like you don't
yeah.
need to pay £100 up front. You can pay like £9 a month or whatever he wants, and have it for 2 months and then forget it. But if you want to be plugged in every day, I don't think £100 a year is that bad. Like if you're on it
No.
every day, yeah, I mean,
I think as well, like a few months ago, a lot of the sort of features it's got now, like the team builder and stuff like that, we didn't have that on Sorare Data. Like, so the version of it that stays free is probably not that far away from what it was for us maybe 6 months ago,
yeah,
before they added the team builder and like how many points you are away from a reward and um I don't know, like the custom divisions you can make and the like things like the trade builder and stuff like that that you can mess about with. A lot of it, a lot of us won't even realize is there now. But from what I understand of what stays free, it is similar to the functionality of the site before it started adding all of these cool features like the lineup builder and stuff like that. And I think that the lineup builder for people with big galleries is one of the most useful tools. But if you are a gallery that only has maybe 10 to 15 cards, you can do the lineup builder in the regular So Rare site, and you probably don't need to pay for Sorare data, but you can still use it for free to do some scouting, look at the player rankings, see what the floor prices are of the top 50 players or something like that. But that's from what I understand. I might have it completely wrong, so don't take that as gospel. I personally paid for it. I think it's more than justified. Let me have a little look here. Pricing. Oh, there is a section I can have a little look at it. I just want
Yeah,
to
lineup
quickly.
builder's still available on the free as well, but it's only one game week ahead. So you
Okay,
can always
okay.
build
That's
ahead
that's
next game week for free.
gallery overview,
You know,
view, valuation, rewards history. When it says basic scouting tools, um, what do you think that entails? Basic
I think
scouting
it's like the
tools.
filters. I think the basic ones will be like the filters, so like their age and stuff like that, and maybe the advanced ones is like guys with AA over 23 in the last 15 games, all those parameters. If, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's the way I would take that. It's just like basic details versus like the the real details that people will want to refine a search on.
Got you. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So basic player search filters is position, club league, age, and U23 eligibility. So I'm assuming that means, searching by score, that kind of thing is not the case. Is that right? So
I
premium
think
player
so.
search filters includes playing in game week beyond next, decisive score, all round playing status. So I guess, yeah, if you want to search by their scores, you're going to need a paid tier. Um, so yeah, what's this? 49. So the pro 49.99 a year does get you that. It just stops
Or
you from getting
you can get
the
monthly,
similar players, advanced
$5 a
price
month.
drop, advanced scoring history. Um, so I mean, yeah, if you wanted to pay like for the middle tier, like the lowest tier, the pro, $50 a year. What's that? A five or a month or something like that? If they pay it oh no, monthly, yeah, $5 a month. I think that I
Monthly,
think
yeah.
personally, I think that's good value. Even if you've got a small gallery, that might be useful if you're looking to buy some players. And like you said, you could pay for it for a month and then just use it for 30 days and then sack it off till we need it again. Um,
Yeah.
but these things do cost money. I guess they've probably got servers to pay for. They've got staff now, not many, but they've got people they need to pay. And there was some of the talk I saw from the community was like, why didn't So Rare pay for this and just subsidize it so that managers get it for free? And the thing that I will say to that is, I think if they were to do that, they may as well just buy So Rare data and like include it. But a part of me is like, before So Rare data became as useful as it was, you had to find this information out yourself, probably like scouring through FotMob or SofaScore or something like that. So Data made this probably for themselves initially. The fact that they made it public was by choice, right? They built all of this and
That's
done
just
it.
how it started.
Yeah, and then just gave it to people for free. And we've had it for free for a while, but it is an amazing tool for anyone who wants to like have some success in this game. And I think if you come into the game wanting success, like most people do, because we see how annoyed they are when they don't win, then you there has to be some kind of price of entry or access to this level of information, because I wouldn't know how to put these sort of charts together from looking at a Sorare's API. Um,
No,
but
same.
if you are
And
someone
even
who
before
knows,
like Sorare data, even like you say, as soon as but before Sorare data became as big as that, like you would have to go through every card and see what everyone's paid for it,
yeah,
and then write it down and work it out and think, right, what's a good number for this, and so much legwork. So like I'm not upset about paying it. I paid them when it was free. I'll say that
yeah,
again. It's the only time I've mentioned it. No, but the last time I mentioned it because I just don't want it to sound like that guy. But
balling out,
but no, but again, it's even if you do it monthly, I don't see. I pay Netflix like 11 quid or some stupid like that,
yeah,
and
yeah. No, I see.
pizza, whatever. I'm on it every day, and that's the way I think. Like I took a gym membership up this year, and I'm not a gym guy, as you can tell, right, with these noodles. But but I go for I'll go for a swim. It's a flat. I'm not going to go in and lift weights or whatever, but I'll go for a swim. And the way I justify it, it's like 50 quid a month, and I always think to myself, if I'm in there 4 times a week, the economics are sound. I don't even need to work it out,
Yeah,
But if I'm in there 4 times a week, that's 20 visits for £50. That's no problem,
yeah,
So again, like, but that's just again how my mind works. If I think I'm on this every day and it's a tenner a month,
yeah,
it's 30 pence a day.
yeah,
And if I'm on it as many hours as I know I'm on it, and you're maybe on it at home, where's the camera? Then 30p a day is not that bad, and especially then if you know it's the off season, and you're never going to be on it. You don't need to pay for it; just cancel it and forget it. I don't get the, I don't know, I don't get
I
the.
think it's such a good service, and it justifies it being paid for me. Like
It's not
when
shit. If it was shit, you wouldn't pay for it. Like
exactly,
it's that
exactly.
good. They really should get something.
I think over the course of a year, it will pay for itself in like a couple of rewards, maybe less, and like maybe a couple of um, scraping the ETH rewards for a few weeks of the month, and
Two thresholds covers it for the year.
exactly, and it's like you'll get through that, and you if you need to make a team for the threshold, then here's a tool for it, and yeah, another thing that a lot of us are missing is like this is a team of people that built a great app, but they constantly deliver, don't they? Like they upgrade it all the
Yes.
time, add new features. Can you imagine what the capabilities of this team will be with money coming in? Because they've done this
Yeah.
for free, with maybe like a donation from like an investment from Sorare, but up to this point, they haven't probably been turning over any profit. They haven't been bringing any money in. So it's going to be amazing to see what they can do with the money that they're going to bring in from this. And I have no doubt that the team there that have done this up to this point on a shoestring will deliver some amazing new features. Yeah, you know, that we could see more and more prizes in their side games, things like that. Like there's potential for them to like make real good on the money that we've put into their business, and they've the things they've delivered with none of our money up to this point has been amazing. So yeah, no one's really talking about what they may or may not do with the money that they're making here, and yeah, my personal feeling is that we'll all see a lot more value for the money we're paying now than we maybe even see already.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like the integration they've got with like injury information, getting the lineups out, and then like again, for anyone who's done watch alongs with me, watched them or been on them or whatever, like watching a game and having Sorare data up is like fantastic. You can see the scores dripping in second by
Real
second.
time,
It
yeah.
doesn't freeze. It's not like it's so slick, And again, if you don't use it, then it is a rip off. Why pay for it if you're not using it? The free version looks like you said they're almost like the version we had 6 months ago, perhaps before they put the
Yeah,
bells and whistles on it. Um, I just don't get the grief. Again, you can pay it for 1 month for five, you get all the data you need, and then turn it off again. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely know a few players who probably won't pay for it, like are like super casual,
Yeah,
and I'll be interested to sort of drop in with them in a month or two and be like, "Are you using Sorare data? Like, how are you finding it?" And I wouldn't be surprised if most of the functionality that they need for like their casual play is pretty much exactly the same sort of experience that they've used it for up to this point. But like you said, if you're using it every day and you're into the features and you're doing the lineup builders and you're really like getting into the stats, and then it's pretty justified um, for players like us and most people who are listening to the podcast, probably, because if you're listening to the podcast, you're probably pretty deep in it, right? So I'd imagine
yeah,
most people are probably pretty cool with the pricing.
that's it. So I think that was kind of all the drama from the week, Stish. We kind of said before coming into the podcast today, but they all kind of everything kind of blends in together. The kind of drama llamas that we've got there now. But as you kind of touched on a moment ago, we're coming up to a big weekend. I'm buzzing. Celtic cards have still got their XP bonus. We've got a great home fixture. What about you? If you're prioritising under 23s this week, you said earlier.
Yeah, I'm back into under 23s this week. I thought the pool had been refreshed a little bit. Obviously had a great weekend last week, so my that main team only changes a little bit because PSV don't have a fixture, so not getting any use out of my Veerman this weekend, and I'm going to lose like Sangare in some lineups. I normally use him in like a pretty strong lineup, but yeah, U23. I felt like I had with the loss of Veerman, I've switched in Seo Yongwoo, who plays for Ulsan, who has a good fixture this weekend against Gimshun, and they've been in pretty good form of late, and he's been putting up some good scores apart from the game where he had a howler and like conceded a pen. But yeah, I can rely on him to put up a nice sort of 60 plus, hopefully. Uh, and if he does that, and Ajax do similarly to what they did last weekend, I think that U23 Pro team with Devin Wrench, Kenneth Taylor, Super Air, Anthony is my captain again, and I've got Muric in goal. Burnley looked amazing the first game, they haven't looked great, but they are at home to Blackpool this weekend, so I'm hoping for a clean sheet there. And Muric has a pretty good all-around game, so if he can get a clean sheet, you can be looking at a nice sort of 70 or thereabouts score with Muric. So yeah, that's that. I think that's my main focus this week. I haven't gone as heavy on the super rare divisions because I don't from like reading the reports on Levitt. I'm not confident that he'll start this weekend, so I'm probably not going to risk using him in anything like worthwhile. So I've put him in like an all-star super rare team, which also has Nat Phillips in the back. Now he's playing against Man United, so I'm hoping he has an absolute stinker if he plays at all. But he did start against Crystal Palace, surprisingly, and looks like there's a shout that he starts again. So I just put Levitt in there with like a kind of ragtag bunch of players. So yeah, my super rare U23 looks all right. Although I've used a Kenneth Taylor rare in there. Normally I like to try keep it all super rare and unique and a unique there. But yeah, I think my pro teams this week, U23, the Challenger Europe pro team's looking strong, and the All Star Pro team's not looking too bad either. So I think that those pro divisions are my main focus. Where have you put your big Celtic stack this weekend?
Hey, I'm going back into Challenger. There's a Kyogo super rare that's on the in the prize pool this week. So
Nice.
as soon as I seen that, I'm like, that's the only thing I can really target my big guys against. Because uh, you know the prize pools are quite scarce. And I go to the extent of looking for exactly who would I like to win.
Yeah.
And the Celtic ones are the ones I've been kind of targeting and whatever. But I've got I was actually thinking about talking to you about Levitt 'cause I wasn't sure if you were going to be playing him or not. So I'm hopeful Levitt doesn't play because then I think my boy Mulgrew will get a few more set pieces.
Mm,
And I've managed to put a kind of ragtag bunch of guys out into All Star Super Rare with him being the unique for it.
nice.
So I'm kind of quietly confident, but my main division is All Star Rare Pro. And again, like as we are doing this in Oustish, it's like Thursday afternoon. I don't know. I've not checked, but the entrance for All Star Rare Pro is 1,500. I don't. That feels kind of on the low side, and on Super Rare and Challenger it's at 85. So I'm not sure if
Mm,
maybe there's a weakening on some of these entries. People are just like screw even competing in there. I don't know whether even they're training their throwaway lineups. Maybe people are condensing down a bit. Um, there's only 389 entrants in Champion Pro, for example. So that kind of rings into what you're saying earlier, where there only been
mm,
40 odd prizes, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I think it's one of those game weeks where maybe the herd has kind of got the same mentality of like sack playing rare pros. Let's just play stronger rares.
yeah.
And if you had a combative rare pro team anyway, maybe the field is going to get weaker without anything really happening. Just people deciding to try and condense down and go for maybe what might be seen as a more reliable result in a lower division. So
Yeah.
I'm hopeful my rare pro team can kick in this week with what I'm seeing in front of me now.
One thing I am doing a bit differently this weekend actually is because of that Araujo win. Um, I've actually got an America Pro team out this week, and I very rarely enter the America division, but I've got a pretty decent looking America Pro team there. If Efrain Alvarez and Julian Araujo both start using their super rares, Eddie Segura as the captain, he's like had a great last couple of games at LAFC. Um, Hopefully, he keeps his place there. Alfredo Talavera in goal and Brenner up front. I think that's a pretty nice entry for America Pro, so
Yeah,
long as they all play. But again, it is a bit of a punt. Champ Euro, I've got Dimitrevski in goal, Di Lorenzo, Paqueta captain, Tony Kroos, and Quentin Merlin. We mentioned Merlin on the podcast last week as like I wasn't sure
cheap
how
gold.
useful he was going to be. Put up a 60 last week with no decisive. So
Nice.
and with the changes coming, I think that him playing as like he actually plays as a wing back, but he's a forward card. I think that he will benefit from the matrix change. So hopefully now that Blas has gone, he'll be on those sets and yeah, fingers
Yeah.
crossed his scores start to pick up. But Nantes have a bit of a dodgy fixture this weekend, so yeah, I'm not like wildly confident about that team, but yeah, I think there's I've got teams in with a shout, definitely. One thing I will ask you as a Celtic head,
Let's
Giakoumakis,
hear it.
what are you doing with him this weekend?
I'm playing him in that All-Star Super Rare team with the Mulgrew. He'll definitely come off the bench and score. I don't think he's starting, but that doesn't really matter. You know, like if he gets a goal, he's coming in with 60 before he gets any other shots away or whatever.
Hmm.
So for me, Giakoumakis, it doesn't really. If he's fit, you're getting the same thing from same with Abada. They're always going to be decisive, capable. You're just rolling the risk. They will kill it. They're not going to. You might not maybe get away with them if they don't score. You know, they're either going to kill the team or make the team. Um,
Yeah.
so I've put him in All-Star Super Rare next to David Soraya, who's got Girona, who I think he should do well against them, but a clean sheet's unlikely. Mulgrews I spoke about. Ki Sung Young is playing Sung Yam, so you'll know with the Seoul fixture this week being very good.
Yep.
And then I've put Jack Makis and Rio Hatate in there as well. So if those three other guys that are not Celtic do okay, I got to go from Jack Makis off the bench, then it might work, it might do something. That's kind
Yeah.
of my take on it.
I put Giakoumakis in my All Star. Just like a bit of ETH grinding activities going on there. I feel like similarly about him to you, to be honest, is if he comes in off the bench at some point, he's got a solid chance of scoring. So yeah, he's not one of those players who needs to necessarily start, and it's the main reason I've kept hold of him, to be honest, because I just think Celtic look really strong, and he is, even if he doesn't start, he's going to get chances and pretty good return on his shot. His shots, the goals, pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, always looking forward to the weekend game weeks. There's so much activity going on. I've got 23 teams out this weekend. That's just like nuts. But yeah,
Wow.
granted, a few of them are just like they may as well be in training. But you're not. If you've got a team you can field, you may as well just hit and hope. There's definitely a few hit and hopes in that 23 team entries. But yeah, excited as ever for the weekend. And yeah, best of luck to you, mate. Hopefully you get some end
Cheers.
product in for the
That's it.
beginning of the next week. We can be talking about
Well, fingers crossed, man.
some tier zero wins again with a bit of luck.
Hoping for a Celtic 7-0. That's what I'm after.
I'm hoping for a
And
United
on that
seven.
note, maybe. Well, I was going to say on that note, everyone who's listening to this, good luck this game week to you as well. Let us know your thoughts and everything we spoke about, of course, in comment sections and tweets and posts and all that good stuff. Don't forget to rate and review and like and subscribe and all that good stuff, of course. And yeah, we'll catch you next week for some more of that end product, hopefully. Stishy boy.
Fingers crossed for everyone. Big up, everyone.